Probably one of my most joyous Christmases was back in 1969. Christmas was always a big, big thing at our house. There were 6 kids, and my mom and dad just always felt like Christmas was for the kids. Well, in 69, my brother was in the Air Force. Of course, this was back during the Vietnam era. And my mom and dad were both just so down throughout the Christmas period because my brother was gone. But on Christmas Eve, a knock came at the door. My dad went to answer it, and it was my big brother, Chuck, dressed in a Santa suit. He had come home from the Air Force and surprised everybody for Christmas. There was a lot of joy that night.
My name is Bob Miller, and my best Christmas was when I met my wife for our first Christmas. That was 28 years ago. So I still enjoy it. And the other is the friend sitting over there. I think a lot of her, and going to Sandy Hook. And the other is that when I give myself to the Lord and was saved. So that's about all I've got.
It's hard to isolate one memory out of all of the years that I've spent with Christmas. What I have done is to think of the spirit of the season. And the one thing I come out of it with is the anticipation of Christmas. And I have looked at it specifically through the eyes of children, which I think is the makes Christmas exciting. Anticipation in another sense. In 1966, at Christmas, I was awaiting the birth of my second child. I didn't know it was a girl, but it was the second girl. Anticipation. 1987, I was awaiting the birth of my first grandchild. Those are good memories. One of the ones involving children involves my youngest child, and when she was a toddler, she asked if she could stay on the couch to go to sleep while the Christmas lights were on. And she told me yesterday, she said, let me get this story straight. Did I really do that? I said, oh yes, you did. And she said, I continued doing it when I was going even through college. So when her little girl says now, Mom, can I sleep on the couch and watch the Christmas lights? What do you think her reply is? Children make Christmas wonderful.
Who was born on Christmas?
No. Baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus. That's good.
No one was.
Okay.
No one but baby Jesus.
Yeah.
Do y'all have a favorite Christmas memory? Do you have any traditions you do every morning, or do you run into mom and dad's bedroom and wake them up and say, "Ah, it's Christmas morning"?
No.
No?
I do. I
Do
yell
you?
as loud as I can. I don't. I want my mom and dad to move in.
You let them sleep in. I'm going to ask them that.
Well, you need to go talk to my kids, Kate.
We used to we played musical instruments, so we had trumpets and trombones and saxophones. So we'd get up at like 4 in the morning. Everybody would get their instrument out, and we would go play right in front of mom and dad's door. Wake them up and let them know Christmas had come.
I'm not letting you talk to my kids.
I'm done.
The children always had a large Christmas show program, and even the ones in the nursery would, even if they didn't do anything but get up and sing, Jesus Loves Me. Every child in church took part of it, and they learned verses and did different things. Then afterwards, they went downstairs to the basement for a big Christmas party, and Santa was there. Then the other thing is involving my family. Christmas for my dad was one of the biggest things that would ever happen for him in the year, because he was a kid person. He loved to be around kids. And then when I had my own and the grandkids, and then when the great-grandkids came along, he was just ecstatic. And my dad was just like one of the kids, was down on the floor and playing and all. And he did that until the last Christmas when he was sick. And then he died just a few days later. But he was always really involved with the kids and looked forward to it and really made it a joyous time because he was one of the kids too.
What if you pay me $40?
$40 for your best Christmas memory. What is it?
I don't know.
You don't know your best Christmas memory?
You do that to me if I tell you. I'm going to Papa's house.
Going to Papa's house? Do y'all have like a special meal there?
Seeing
Get to
my cousin.
Seeing your cousin?
Not always.
Yes.
Getting my I forget what I eat on Christmas morning after.
But you like the food? That's your best memory?
The Friday after Thanksgiving, we would decorate for Christmas all day, which I think a lot of people do, but every single year we would watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and eat the same meal, steaks and French onion soup and twice baked potatoes, and that was like our tradition to watch movies and have a fire and eat that meal. It was awesome.
First was when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and it was for Christmas. Well, we would celebrate at church, of course, but we also celebrated at our firehouse. Had a community Christmas service on Christmas morning before and then we would go home and unwrap our gifts. But this one year, it was so warm. It was like in the 60-some degrees. And one of my older friends had just got a convertible car, and we went for a drive with the top down on Christmas morning. And then a few years later, we had a real big blizzard on Christmas, like the night before Christmas. And it was a family tradition to have Christmas dinner with my grandparents who lived 2 miles away. And there was no way we could drive there, so my whole family walked 2 miles to have Christmas dinner with my grandparents.
My favorite Christmas memory is seeing my grandparents in Clay City each year, and also seeing my family that's from far away on Christmas Day.
We always eat our Christmas candy before breakfast.
Before breakfast?
All of it?
Not all of it, but like, yeah.
Your mother, the dietitian, lets you do that.
We had always had Christmas Eve at my husband's parents'. And my mother-in-law loved to decorate for Christmas Eve. So she would have lights everywhere that she could put lights. She would actually tape strings of lights up the walls and around the ceilings. And every year we would say, Mom, you're going to have a fire if you don't quit this, because there were extension cords plugged into extension cords. Her last few years she spent in Farrington Apartments, and she did the very same thing. She had lights everywhere. So our joy was always that there was never any fire at Christmas time. My other joy, and this will be this year, I have 2 new great grandchildren, and it is just such a joy to see my son and daughter-in-law being grandparents and how much love they have for these 2 grandchildren. It's just, I just love sitting back and watching them with all this love that they have for 2 grandchildren.
Oh, I usually eat like the roll-up things. What? With all the icing on it.
All the icing?
I know.
All right, what's yours?
That my mom makes on Christmas morning. She makes cinnamon rolls. Oh,
Those are good.
cinnamon rolls. That's what I eat.
Like cinnamon rolls? Mom always made us a special breakfast casserole too. Every Christmas morning, we'd have a special casserole.
I used to just wake up my mommy and daddy and say, presents are here. So we can open them. Okay, what's my $40?
I was asked to about some clients at Love Chapel, interacting with those, and I have 2 clients that I worked with years ago. And it was a joyous occasion. We had one client, a gentleman, who had recently found a job. He was getting ready to go to this new job, and he did not have the right type of shoe. So he came to Love Chapel, and we took him to Walmart and got him the correct shoe. And he said, now I can have a job and start supporting myself. He was very happy about this occasion, and we were happy with him, for him. And on another occasion, I was volunteering at the food pantry, and a young gentleman came through, a client, and we were selecting food for him, different vegetables and cans. And about a third of the way through, he stopped me and said, "Sir, I can't use any of this." And I thought, well, why? He said, "I do not have a can opener. I do not own a can opener." That was a very humbling experience, that we take so much for granted, and even the small things. One other, I'm going to add this to it. Clients or members of our church, Sandy Hook Church, donated bicycles to Love Chapel. The bicycles are being used at brighter days for people to go to jobs or to doctor's appointments and things like that. So that was very much appreciated from the church. So that is three things that I would consider very joyous, even at this Christmas time.
When it comes to picking my most joyful Christmas memory, it's extremely difficult to do because they've all been very joyous. My wife is a person that loved Christmas. She lived for the Christmas season. So her joy spread through the rest of the family. It's probably not my most joyous Christmas season, but I think the first of anything you remember the most. And I remember our first Christmas together as husband and wife. It was in 1956. We'd been married about 7 months, and I wanted to make it especially special and joyful for her. And shopping is not a word that's in my vocabulary. I hate shopping, grocery, Christmas, any kind of shopping I hate. But it was our first Christmas, and I wanted to make it special. So I shopped and I shopped and I shopped. She loved clothes, so I bought dress clothes, casual clothes, sports clothes, all kinds of clothes. Couldn't wait for Christmas morning. Christmas morning came, and I was filled with joy because I had all these packages for her. She was filled with joy because she was opening each one. The day after Christmas, she became even more joyful. With my permission, she took everything that I bought back. It seemed that my choice in clothes for her and her choice of clothes for her were not the same. So that particular Christmas, I think, was joyful for me from the standpoint that I never had to go Christmas shopping for clothing for her again. We settled that right there. But each Christmas has been unique in its own special way. From the Christmas music that the choir sings each year, from my wife spending a special day shopping with each of the children and the grandchildren, and the time we get together to share Christmas meal, exchange packages, they're all very special. And I really can't pick one above another. But during all those times and all those Christmases that are each different in their own way, we always stop to reflect as to why we were blessed with this joy, this entertainment, and this fun at Christmas time. And even though the Christmases were different, the answer was always the same every year. It was the Son that came down to save each of us. So all I can say is I wish for each of you the happiest and the most joyful Christmas you've ever had. Thank you.
Is that the same voice you use?
No.
What voice do you use?
Mommy, daddy, mommy, daddy, mommy, daddy.